Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. Welcome, everybody. Yes, I am back, precious. I am. Things still are a little horrible, but they're a little less than horrible. So, yay, here I am, and I plan to be here more often. And I do have a whole bunch of videos ready to go. Thank you all for being here. We're going to be talking about reviews of the TV show, The Rings of Power. Sometimes people don't even like to call it that. They call it The Rings of Prime because it's not the story that Tolkien wrote. It's nothing. And we're going to look at some reviews for it. Now, it did premiere the other night, 3 episodes in a row. Talk about a nightmare. There's not enough promised time off purgatory for me to do that. But we're going to look at what some of the professionals are saying, and they are doozies. They're not very happy either. There's been lots of jokes that checks have bounced. There are also still some shills. So let's just kind of jump into it. I want to welcome all people that might be watching this for the first time and all of those that are going to be watching this on the replay. Let me double check to make sure that they're not going to bounce me. Sorry, rather dox me. Looks like they're not. Yay! So won't let me. Eric Kane. Well, he's got it right. This is what, of course, we've been saying from the beginning, and we were called IST. Ridiculous. So let's see what else they have to tell us. I don't care if huge sales are happening. I have somehow made it through the first 3 episodes of The Rings of Power. This guy is channeling me. Though the show's sophomore effort did not make this either pleasant or easy for me. You see, even a show that's not very good, should not be that bad. I really did not like season 2 of House of the Dragon. At least you could kind of watch it. Speaking of which, I'm really looking forward to George R.R. Martin's review of those. But when you can barely get through it, when I finally watched season 1, I can tell you what I had to do. I had to do it at the gym on the treadmill. I just couldn't. Finally, we're getting rid of these ads. So I had to exercise anyway, so boom, here we go. Speaking of which, if you do like to exercise, make sure you wear proper shoes. My barefoot exercising thing is over, or wearing very cheap tennis shoes when I go to the gym. That's over. Well, look who it is. We have a dog in the chat. Woof, woof. Miss Martin Muses and everyone. We love our animals here at Miss Martin Muses. Have you been watching The Rings of Power Season 2? I haven't gotten around to it, but I've heard enough. Isn't that funny? He says, the trappings of decent epic fantasy are here. It looks good, except when it looks like a movie set. Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that. It's like, with the money they have, why on earth? Why on earth does it look like this? And the good score wait, it sounds nice, though Beer McCreary score is not memorable. That is true. I would say the same thing about the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Even though it's objectively good music, it's not memorable. If you're not inspired, you cannot make inspiration. Oh, put that on a pillow. Never watched season 1 at all. No. So I don't think I watched season 2 at all. Good morning, Adega Outlaw. Have you been watching the Rings of Not Power? I'm going to be looking here at some reviews. I'm happy to be back after a 2-week hiatus. I don't, probably YouTube is not very happy with me for it, but you know what? When life hits hard, family comes first. That's just all there is to it. That's all that I can say. They say it picks up the action a bit, but somehow the soulless season 1 feels downright poignant to whatever second season brings to the table. I just keep thinking about the actress that played Bronwyn and the actor that played Adar, the guy from Benjen Stark from Lord of the Rings, rather A Song of Ice and Fire. How they just were like, we're going now. Maybe they saw what was coming. Dear goodness. I'm astonished by its lack of coherent storytelling and its utter absence of anything like heart. Now, that is something that I have complained about with House of the Dragon. It's like they're just not good at telling stories. Like, you can tell a bad story. How do I say this? You can take something that's not necessarily War and Peace, but still keep the trappings of a good story, still make it exciting. I love to point out Twilight. Yeah, it was ridiculous, but it had a story. Days of Our Lives is ridiculous, but it has a story. It's well told for what it's telling in its genre. What's wrong with you people? I know what's wrong with them. They're not hiring writers. Either no writer worth their salt wanted to touch it with a 10-foot pole, or they wanted to get people that would just do whatever they told them to do. I call it the rings of poop. Oh, heck no. Don't have any reason to suggest myself to torture. No. I can watch it with some decency because it's so different that I I can't connect the two. At first, I really thought that it would mess me up, but it didn't, and I was also in a different place. I guess all I'll say is when I have problems, that's kind of easier to deal with than when people you love have illnesses. I know it's not as for the people that are sick, I know that's not fun, but sometimes it's very hard to see people you love suffer. Continuing before I make everyone leave 'cause making it sad. Yeah, lack of coherent storytelling. You know who else has coherent storytelling? My kindergarten students from back in the day in music class. They would have to tell a story and sing it to me because I'm I'm a music teacher and I loved specifically doing it with little children. I don't do it anymore. That's why I talk about it because while I was still under a contract, I didn't want anyone to know that. But yeah, the kindergartners had to make up a story that went along with the sun. You should see the stories they came up with. These people, and then I should have recorded it. It was so cute. No matter how many times the characters say very deep things as music swells dramatically and loudly. Should I add slow motion? Why, look who people are coming in. Thank you for coming in. And leave a like, share, and maybe a subscribe if you like what you see. The creators of this show, J.D. Patrick and whatever blah, blah, blah their names are, Benioff and Weiss, part 2, but I think that's an insult to Benioff and Weiss, took Tolkien's work and made their own world out of it. Yet, see, that's exactly, dude, so many checks have bounced. Made their own world out of it. People have been saying all along, why don't you just write your own story? Why don't you just write your own story? Well, not connected to an IP. Well, for one thing, they think brand recognition is everything, and they don't understand fantasy. They don't understand Tolkien. Everyone needs to read Tolkien's Author of the Century by Tom Shippey. It is great literature. Fantasy is a genre of great literature. Some fantasy is crap, but some fantasy is the greatest works you'll ever read, as George R. R. Martin calls it, The Lord of the Rings. Had to throw that in there because I've been seeing some stuff here. Kids, it's got to be based in truth or else it's not true. But it really is. And Tom Shippey just explains it so well, especially The Lord of the Rings. They think fantasy is just, you know, nerds in their basements who are virgins, not doing anything. And so all we have to do is put Lord of the Rings on it because it's not really deep. Uh, just go away with that. So, anyways, yes, borrowing little bits and pieces in order to market it to a wider audience. Uh-huh. A clumsy but grand Frankenstein's monster of a show, except that's an insult to Frankenstein's monster. What they have forgotten, boom! What they have forgotten is to give us a reason to care. Reese, Jeannie Mac. So, we have a tangled ticket of various storylines, none of which really seem to matter. Yeah, you see, that's the thing. You have to care. You have to care about the characters and you have to care about the story. Sauron Anatar seducing Celebrimbor. Please tell me that's a metaphor. Or seducing in the other sense of the word. Tricking him into crafting rings of power by playing to his pride. See, that's where it's a tidbit kind of maybe close to what it really is in the story, but not really. Invoking his infamous grandsire, Feanor. Okay, no one likes Feanor. Feanor sucks. But even there, we're all out of order. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, we're out of order. Yeah, no one said Feanor, what a guy. Remember, he kinslayed. Kinslaying is really, really bad. Really bad. Don't do it. So they're not gonna hold up. Yeah, remember that great kinslayer, Feanor? The show had the elven rings crafted at the end of season 1, even though that's out of order. Yeah, when those were created last by Kellen Rimmer and in secret. Mhm. But perhaps, of all the liberties taken in season 1, season 2 oh, because of all the liberties taken in the first season. Yeah, it's the butterfly effect. You mess up one thing, you have to mess up everything else. Oh my gosh. Elrond absconding with the 3 elven rings while while Galadriel and Gilgalad hunt him down? What even? Oh dear. Fugitive style. Wow. They need these mithril alloyed rings to save elfendom. Please tell me that he's being sarcastic. Please tell me that he's being sarcastic. Oh dear. Elrond goes to the shipwright Círdan, who helps him for a minute before deciding, no, never mind. The rings are super dope after all. They're making it look like they're falling to the seduction of the rings, these elven rings, in the same way that they fall to the I'm sorry, the one ring. These elven rings are not the one ring. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's true for the true for the most part. The Elven rings in Tolkien's work were untouched by Sauron, and it was only through the power of the One Ring that he could bend the rings to his will. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's why they took them off, because of the way that power kind of works in this world. And they were hidden. Yeah, I was gonna say, no one really knew about these rings, the 3 elven rings. But much ado is made of these elven rings. We need conflict. I love the way he is capitalizing these. He is mocking the writers. This is nice. Okay, let me go to the chat here. Seriously, Elrond became a thief. Tempest Girl and Gilgai chased after him. Apparently, apparently. Fugitive style. It's all very strange. Yes. There's the ring. I guess the ring's kind of pretty. Now, are they using the ones from the TV show rather from the movies? Is it or is it a different design? I don't know. Oh yeah, we get Sauron's story, a younger version of the Dark Lord. Oh my They're acting like these people are really human or something. They're uh, they're spirits. They're akin to demons. It would be like, we're gonna go when Satan was young. Except he never really was because he was not part of this world. But I digress. Being stabbed to a pulp by Adar's orcs, after which he turns into a venom like black goop. See, Tolkien is turning in his grave right now. Hello, Conroy. He says, so bad they can't pretend to support. Yeah, must be. Or checks have bounced. Wow. Though poor Tolkien's grave, people don't understand graves. I see that people are leaving like tokens at his actual grave that look like things associated with the Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, dude, not on a grave. The only thing appropriate to leave at a Catholic's grave is flowers or maybe a crucifix or a statue of Mary, maybe a rosary. Yeah, but I digress. Wait. He ambushes a woman as she Noman lands? And then he becomes Halbrand. Hello, Shane Nolan. Thank you for being here. We're going through some reviews of the Rings of Power. Now, I liked Halbrand, which is really sick. He was the only one that made sense. He just sat around and said, y'all crazy in season 1. And he goes to the sea. Oh, yeah, which is always right. He's jabbing at people. And meet up with Galadriel. But then he's back in the Southlands pretending to be king there, taken captive by Adar and his orcs? Wait a second, because when we ended the season 1, he was being Anakin Skywalker in Mordor, and now they're saying that Adar and his orcs got him, and he escaped and went back to Celebrimbor in Aragan. Ridiculous sign. The sea is always right. This is where he's talking about they think they're saying very, very profound lines. They think it sounds like Tolkien. And it's like, listen, there's only one reason why Tolkien was able to Tolkien, because he was Tolkien. And then because Galadriel in this version is an idiot, she never warned Celebrimbor he was actually Sauron. I'm not sure how all this spreads out sensibly on the time. Yeah, yeah. See, uh, yeah. Why do we need all this backstory? I agree with you, man. And they condensed. Yes, we knew there was going to be a problem when they condensed the story. You can't condense the story. It's like I got so upset my microphone got. Let me do this here. There we are. Everyone's laughing. Yeah, you gotta laugh or you gotta cry. The Numenorians and their constant bickering. Oh my gosh. Well, that's the other thing. They were afraid to do the real story of the Numenorians, which was about right worship of God. Bet you they ain't gonna do that. Wait, Isildur and his new wait, what? Girlfriend? Isildur has a girlfriend? I mean, not that I have anything against it. Dude was probably even married, but oh my gosh. Hound says, I remember a line. I have a tempest in me. That line sounded stupid. Yes. Not gonna lie. Every one of my buddies who are in the know, we started using that as a euphemism for our time of month. Like, why don't you want to come do this? I have a tempest in me. It's like, oh. Soul extraction. So good to see you. Good morning, mods in chat. Yes. Oh, good. This is like a mini reunion. I feel like it's a reunion since I've been gone for 2 weeks, but plan to do more. So we got a girlfriend plus Arondir. Wait, they escaped the Southlands. Oh, because everything turned into uh volcano? Wait, Arondir, is he Legolas? Not Legolas, Don Lemon or whatever? I think he is. Theo. Oh yeah, Theo was the son of Bronwyn and a jarringly dead Bronwyn. Did they really have to kill her off in such an awkwardly off-screen manner? Yes, they did, because the actress got a clue and said, "Adios, amigos." Actually, to be fair, I don't know her language, but we use that anyway. Never mind. The point is, yes, Bronwyn went with Benjen Stark and said goodbye. So little matters. I can't help these guys bit off far, far more than they could chew. Really? To write the story Tolkien never wrote. I said it once, said it twice, and you are going to hear it again. I'm going to write the story Jane Austen never wrote. I'm going to write Beethoven's 10th Symphony. I'm going to write the opera Mozart never wrote. I'm going to write, well, let's just say something even more modern. I'm going to write the score John Williams never scored. Gee, it's just yeah, imagine if someone decided, I'm going to tell the real story, the story of Pride and Prejudice, but I don't have the rights to Pride and Prejudice. I'm going to have a story called, with just, Mr. Darcy, Elizabeth, and all that, and they're all going to be at Pemberley, and goodness knows what they would do with it. It's like watching a series of events transpire instead of a story unfold. Well, you see, that's the thing. You got to have a good story. You got to have a good story, and you've got to have characters that you enjoy. Yes. I'm assuming you're agreeing with me. The only saving grace, and it's not much, is less of boss girl Galadriel. Her role is greatly diminished, but nothing very compelling. Oh, it takes its place. I get very frustrated because she's a good actress. If you watch her in other stuff, she's good. I hope she survives this. Maybe she'll get some international recognition and get to some better roles. Theater, she does theater. And perhaps that's why some of the things that we see, I don't know, but that's the fault of the director. Meanwhile, very meaningful and deep dialogue. I love it. All caps. I love this man. Maybe he's a jerk, but I like this. And it doesn't reflect how people speak to each other, including elves. Yeah. Purple Prose's chatty cousin is a relentless bastard. I found this all exhausting. Things are constantly caps very serious. This show suffers from the common problem so many prequels face, amplified by the bad writing and two-dimensional characters that leaves Rings of Power feeling so shallow. See, here's why the prequels worked despite their flaws. We cared. First of all, we loved Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan was played so well by Ewan McGregor. I thought he was very well written, and we wanted to know how Darth Vader became Darth Vader, so we were already invested. Shane says they sorted that Jane asked Austen death at Pemberley. Yes, they did. Now, I happen to enjoy that, and I happen to not mind that because one thing they didn't do was claim it was a novel Austen never wrote. They didn't claim this was like the story. They didn't claim anything higher. They knew it was fan fiction. And it was very obvious it was fan fiction. And it was frankly rather enjoyable fan fiction, though I do see your point. But they didn't have this attitude of trying to equal Pride and Prejudice. Matt Wilkins is here. It's like everyone at Amazon thought, how can we lower the bar any more than we did in season 1? Yes, talent, very talented people. They have to dig the soil further to lower the bar. Yes, and thank you everyone everyone here, and it's great to see you, Matt. Hope you and yours are well. Mine kind of aren't, but that's okay. We're half okay, if that makes any sense. Despite all its pretensions and big effects, this is shallow. Yeah, it's very pretentious. Fantasy should be imaginative and distinct, but basically we have devoutly generic aesthetic. That is a very good way of putting it. Someone put side by side the characters from the Rings of Power, the characters from the Wheel of Time, and I forget what the other one was. And they all look the same. Oh, baby Gandalf. I think they still think they're clever and that either they're keeping it a secret, just as good as a secret as they had with as good a secret as they did with Halbrand is really Sauron. Mm, let me see. Hello, Gorilla's random thoughts. Looks like could one of my mods take care of that? That's okay to show. I think they held it for the language. Let's see. Or maybe I can do it. Thank you for being here, Gorilla. Oh, thank you, moderator. And baby Gandalf. Or they're going to make it Sauron, which is going to be even more ridiculous. Takes us in a room with Nori and a surprise appearance by Poppy, not Samwise at all, who is an intrepid explorer who usually follows her friend through the desert and brings biscuits and maps, saving the day because that makes sense. Okay, when I was hearing the things about Poppy, I thought, never mind what I thought. Wow. What about this new evil wizard hunter, the Eastar? He says this many times to let us know that the stranger is totally Gandalf, actually. Well, still could be Sauron, but they didn't even come till the Third Age. I have a video about that where Tolkien talks about it in his letters. Some masked dudes that look like they spring out of Star Wars or Mad Max. Oh. There is so much superfluous nonsense in this show. Is there an actual story here? Or are we just following lots of different characters as they do stuff? I think this person has it. Wait. I've also forgotten to mention the coup in Numenor? What? An eagle shows up. I saw that in the preview where they ripped it off from season 8 of Game of Thrones. Effectively confirm the outcome of our various heroes. Elendil mostly standing around looking as confused as I felt. Oh, well, the eagle is always right or something. Yeah, that's the shot I'm talking about. I did a comparison side by side on Twitter back then. Yeah, I've completely abandoned Twitter. But then people might be, but you're there. Well, I'm there, but I'm not there. I'll still retweet people. And if people like, say, prayer requests or something. But as I said in my tweet, I'm done with it in general. I'm happy though for all the people that are following me, and it's the only way we can stay in touch, but I don't like seeing people being cruel. I'll just put it that way. And I'm not even necessarily pointing the finger of judgment at everyone. Obviously, I'm not, but it's very difficult for me, especially what I'm going through right now. So I'm still there, even though I'm not there, if that makes sense. But yes, the eagle is always right or something. I've read computers complain that this is all too dense. They're missing the story because they're not familiar enough with Tolkien's lore. No, if you're familiar with Tolkien's lore, you're really going to miss the story because there is a story. Okay. It's almost like, oh dear, but this actually happened with the sequels. Like George Lucas had a story and they said, nah, we're doing another story. I was thinking that it would be his version of Darth Vader. Like it or hate it, the prequels, that was George's story. So boom, that's his story. Sorry. Even sorry to myself. That's his story. But nothing here is remotely based on Tolkien's lore. That is true, except for the vaguely Middle-earth setting and some familiar characters. Ooh, doppelgangers. Yeah. This Galadriel is not Tolkien's Galadriel. Yeah, do you see anything about what he says about the Blessed Virgin Mary? Everything he poured into Galadriel. I'm sorry, he poured into Galadriel everything he knew and felt about the Blessed Virgin Mary. Yeah, that's exactly it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where's her husband too? By the way, there was only ever one Durin. Gandalf didn't have some. Oh dear, phallic staff. Wait, he has a staff quest? You've got to be kidding me. Okay, I found the show really boring and wouldn't even subject my subs to this for cringe stock. If they were going to make it this boring, at least they could add some boobs in it. Coup in Numenor. You know what? They're trying to make some reference to, I'll say, Epiphany. That's what they want. You don't want to see people be cruel, but yet you're on Twitter. Well, that's the thing. I told you, I'm not there anymore. I am not there anymore. I'm there, but I'm not there. There's a way to do it. Yeah, being cruel over Star Wars. Wow. Imagine trying to tell that if you believe in Jesus. Yeah, well, I did that for Star Wars. I did that for A Song of Ice and Fire. I did that for I did that for The Rings of Power. Is this really worth losing your soul over? I mean, you can criticize and all that, like what I'm doing, but I'm talking beyond that. I like this doppelgangers. I hope the rest of the season picks. Oh, come on. You know it's not. The battle for might be cool. No, they can't even write battles. But I maintain that battles are only interesting if we care about those. Yes. You see, people that are really, really good writers, they make you care. Like, I was reading the Feist book, the Magician books, and he had to do a lot of turnover with characters, which these idiots could have done if they'd have written the story right. Because they said, well, we'd have to change characters. If you know how to write, you can do that. Because what happened was he just had a knack for making me like his characters. So someone died, and I'm like, no, I'm never gonna. It won't be the same. And then I read the next book, and there's this new guy, and I'm like, he's not my guy I like. And the next thing you know, I'm liking him. All right, so that's talent. Salvatore does that too with his Forgotten Realms books. No, your soul. Yep, that's right. It's not worth it. Like, look, I just, I own George R. Martin by breaking the Eighth Commandment. Okay. Yeah, Tolkien would really approve of that. Outside of the main characters, who we know won't perish. Well, yeah, there just aren't many to root for. Though I do admire Arondir's combat ability. No, it's just like cheap Legolas knockoff. And I'm one to say, I do not worship at the altar of Peter Jackson. He had his flaws. Flaws in definitely The Hobbit, though we all know he had different issues there. But man, that stuff with Legolas was horrible. And would very much like to lop off Theo's head. Is that literal? Here we go. This is what I've been saying. Honestly, this version of the stories for Middle-earth makes me want to root for Sauron. Yes. Yes. And I'm going to say it one more time. Yes. That's a problem. I was rooting for Sauron all through season 1. He was the only one making sense. He was the only one. And he was cute. Even in his wig, he's cute, okay? I like him. I like the actor. Get over it, people. Make fun of me if you want to. I don't care. I think he's a very good-looking actor. But yes! You like Sauron better than anyone else, and you shouldn't like Satan. And if you like Satan better than everyone else, well, then maybe you're not exactly on the same team as Tolkien. Inadvertently. Because the other characters are actually the villains. I think that they're terrible people. Elrond, I think, kind of, sort of, in the first season stayed cool, but beyond that, I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, every time I get judgy, I lose view. Please, I don't mean to be too judgy. Hey, I'm in physical pain, all right? So I deserve a little bit of crankiness. All right, let's find another review. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh my gosh, that one took 40 minutes. Wow. Okay, because I don't have too much time. Because Teresa is going to be traveling. Yes, I am. So I'm going to have a lot of footage for y'all. Let's find. That's season 1. What is season 1? Oh, let's go to USA Today. I don't like USA Today. And I know I don't want points for Southwest Airlines. I don't use you. Wow, look at all these adverts. All right, let's share this one pretty quickly because I do want to do story time. I promised story time. Cute. Give the devil his due. Yeah. Well, it shows, if your eye is not sound, how dark will be the darkness, kind of a thing. All right. Lord of the Rings series, The Rings of Power is beautiful but empty. Checks are bouncing left and right. There's a hole in my heart where love for the Lord of the Rings should be. The story could have gone in almost any direction, considering it's usually only a handful of writing. It's not using any writings, woman. Is this a woman? I don't know who's writing this article. It looked like a woman. Appendices to tell a story about second age of Middle Earth. Oh gosh, they're getting around it. My gosh, I hate this stuff. For which the uninitiated is the middle part of the story after the creation myth and before Lord of the Rings proper. It's all about the forging of those rings, the rise of the ultimate baddie Sauron, and getting all the chess pieces on the board that ultimately... No, it's not about that. Okay, lady, I'm judging you. But okay, fine. You went to a Wikipedia or you read the Prime propaganda. Oh, shoot. What did I do? These bastardos. I'm going to get out of here. Yeah, it says it's all a lot to remember. The new episodes are far more interested in the big picture plot twists. Wait. Yeah, this is the right thing. Wait, the utopian kingdom of men of Numenor has lost its king in a battle with Middle Earth. And the dwarf underground world of Khazad-dûm is collapsing. So they need rings as well. I'm sorry I'm not putting this up here. There are far too many adverts that's messing this up. There are no magnetic heroes to ground the story from its many locations. You see, this is the kind of stuff we were saying last season, and everyone was calling us names. The series cycle through storylines. Relationships often don't make sense, and it's kind of hard to keep related to who is related to who, let alone their names and their motivations. That's a problem. You see, here we go, kids. This is getting it right. Audiences are drawn to people, even if they're dressed up as dwarves or Harfoots. When Dwarf Prince Durin fights with his father, it's hard to care. It's heartbreaking to see a story with so much potential and with so much work behind it, with such beloved source of material, crumble the way it is. Well, we know why it's crumbled, kids. It's crumbled because they're really not doing the story. They're really not doing the story. And that's a problem. And I hear my mother's cane, so we'll see if she comes in, because I did warn her that I'm on a stream, so I don't think it's a problem. Maybe she's eavesdropping. My mom's really awesome. Do we want to do another one? Let's see. Rings of Power reviews. One more before we go to story time. Seems like, though, they're all saying good. Are there any shill ones, or is it just the YouTubers who are getting their stuff? I've told you before, I know how the shilling works. I can tell you all about it. Some of all about it, because I keep my confidences. People who say they have sources and they actually tell what the sources say don't have sources, because you give up your source leaves you. 2 seasons into Amazon's investment in Rings of Power. Okay, it looks like I can do this. I'm going to share this one because the other one, my gosh, they just had too many adverts. Okay. You see, I think he looks hot right there. Sorry. I like him. 2 seasons into Amazon's splashy multi-million-dollar investment, it's hard to find a scene that subverts expectation. That's too good to be true. Halbrand, who was helping Galadriel in season 1, yeah, that was Sauron in disguise. Those settlements in the Southlands, right there in Mordor. The stranger who fell to the ground, he's not Sauron? Yeah, okay, this person has it. The Rings of Power is governed by an overwhelming sense of predestination. Charitably, that's an intended quality of the series. Ouch. And because you can't have a Lord of the Rings without Hobbit-like characters, you have the Harfoots, which was a total. Oh, I'm gonna hurl. McKay and Payne are thoroughly immersed in all of Tolkien's lore. No, they're not. And you cannot get a not significant amount of joy in watching them figure out how to weave a larger scale story. No, there is no enjoyment. Okay, maybe I was far too charitable with this person. I thought that they were going somewhere brave and smart. They have, for instance, forged a clever link between the universe's precious metal mithril, the history of the Jews known as the Silmarils, and the rapacious greed that led to the collapse of the dwarves. That is not clever. That is stupid. But given how much of the plot is apparent from the get-go, they are also getting guilty of playing narrative shell games with their main characters to stall for time. Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah. It's a problem. She goes a little bit back into the backstory of season 1, or she or he, sorry. I don't know who wrote this article. In the second season, Sauron returns in the guise of Anatar, Lord of Gifts, and a frankly terrible wig. Yeah, they should have better wigs with their budget. Vickers as a performer is slyly compelling. Yes, he is. He's the most compelling of them all, like a cage weevil. But the show's plotting relies on Frasier-esque accentuating circumstances in order to make sure he goes unrecognized. Oh my gosh. Ouch. Woo. At 1,000-foot distance, The Rings of Power has the makings of a gripping adventure epic. At the level of individual scenes, the show seems to be cautious and programmatic. Rarely is any character funny. The dwarves get the closest. Yeah. Oh gosh, this person must really like Frasier because they keep comparing it to that. But Frasier does not belong in Tolkien's world. The dialogue veers florid and leaden. That's all in keeping with the nature of Tolkien's prose, but his prose worked. And Peter Jackson, he was able to make it make sense. I'm going to continue on because they talk about the Peter Jackson movies, which it's not part of what we're talking about. There are moments of grandeur that satisfy a certain geekiness. The sight of the elf tree shining bright in Valinor. Yeah, that might be the only good part of the entire thing. When you see the tree shines out, even if such moments is overjuiced by Bear McCreary's sweeping but insistent score. Yes, that's partly Bear McCreary's problem, but also they cooperate with the director. And if they say, hey, make something big and sweeping, well, that's what he does. Unless you're John Williams, where you can tell anyone what to do. This is a show that longs for even the hackiest lines to leaven itself seriously. And so Amazon series invites unfavorable comparison to House of the Dragon. I don't want to go there. I'm going to talk about that somewhere else. Man, this person really likes to bring in other references. Instead, so much of Rings of Power dialogue is functional and expository. Tolkien's works are full of metaphor and lore, songs sung by campfires and told by way of reference to other epics. Let me make this clear if this person is not ignorant. Metaphor and lore and stuff that within world. He invented the world because he loved languages. Ring of Power is mithril production up 30%. Let's hope we don't make the mountain mad. Ha ha ha. Of course I'm not Sauron. Look at my beautiful hair. Oh boy. I hope no one tampered with my secret ring making process. Directly sells this short. How do these characters imagine themselves in the lineage of Middle Earth's myths and legends? Well, they don't. Is that it? Oh no. As hard as I'm being on Rings of Power, the second season does improve as it progresses. The show's budget gets funneled into a big spectacle, including battle scenes. Oh no, no. A cleverly ugh, choreographed duel between Galadriel and What? 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 Middle Earth could be a sandbox of oddity and legend. I have so many questions about daily life in Numenora. Who cares? What's the final sentence? Does this person have a money line? The Rings of Power, a photocopy of a photocopy, a work so contingent on recreation has little originality. Yeah. All right. So that's some reviews. So we got some idea. Wow. You see how a girl doesn't even have to watch something? I will be watching it though. But I've had issues. For all those that are coming in, but that's all right. Well, now we're going to go to story time because I promised you story time where we talk about the creation of the rings. Now, I have a video. That is titled Anatar, and I ended it with the line, "But the elves were not so lightly to be caught. As soon as Sauron set the one." Oh wait, I ended it there. Yes, because the rings work. The one ring that he put on to control everyone. It says, "But the elves were not so likely to be caught." So here we are. Let me put this here. We're going to story time. So if you want to see the the story that Tolkien wrote, do I have story time up here? Oh, never mind. Let me create a banner. Story time. Oops. Cancel. Whoops. I'll just leave it there. I don't know how to make it scroll right now. So let's continue with the creation of the rings and a little more about these 3 rings and not the ridiculousness we just saw. All right. So, but the elves were not so likely to be caught because they weren't stupid. As soon as Sauron set the one ring upon his finger, they were aware of him, and they knew him, and perceived that he would be master of them and all that they wrought. Then in anger and fear they took off their rings. But he, finding that he was betrayed and that the elves were not deceived, was filled with wrath. Yeah, because in this version, the elves are not deceived. They actually have brains. And he came against them with open war, demanding that all the rings should be delivered to him, since the elven smiths could not have attained to their making without his lore and counsel. And they're all like, yeah, we're just going to do what you tell us to do. Or in Tolkien's words, but the elves fled from him, and 3 of their rings they saved, and bore them away and hid them. Because there were a whole bunch of rings. Now, these were the 3 that had last been made, and they possessed the greatest powers. Oh dear. If I butcher the pronunciation, please don't judge me. It's been a while. Nara, Ninya, and Vilya. They were named the rings of fire and of water and of air, set with ruby and adamant and sapphire. And all of the elven rings Sauron most desired to possess them, for those who had them in their keeping could ward off the decays of time and postpone the weariness of the world. Yeah. Gosh, yeah, in the show, they were just like, "We're gonna just create 3 rings." It's like, no, there were lots of them. But Sauron could not discover them, for they were given into the hands of the wise. That's another thing. The hands of the wise aren't always the characters that we're seeing on this show, this version of Tolkien, because my goodness gracious, in the Rings of Power, they are anything but wise. But they gave him into the hands of the wives. The wives, the wise. The wise who concealed them and never again used them openly while Sauron kept the ruling ring. Therefore, and when there's a therefore, you ask what it's there for. The three remained unsullied, for they were forged by Celebrimbor alone, and the hand of Sauron had never touched them. Yet they were also subject to the One. From that time, war never ceased. I can't speak. From that time, war never ceased between Sauron and the elves. And Eregion was laid waste. Oh, spoilers! And Celebrimbor slain, and the doors of Moria were shut. In that time, the stronghold and refuge of Imladris, that men called Rivendell, was founded by Elrond half-elven, and long it endured. But Sauron gathered into his hands all the remaining rings of power, and he dealt them out to the other peoples of Middle-earth, hoping thus to bring under his sway all those that desired secret power beyond the measure of their kind. 7 rings he gave to the dwarves, but to men he gave 9. For men proved in this matter, as in others, the readiest to his will. In all those rings that he governed, he perverted the more easily, since he had a part in their making, and they were accursed, and they betrayed in the end all those who used them. The dwarves indeed proved tough and hard to tame. They ill endure the domination of others, and the thoughts of their hearts are hard to fathom, nor can they be turned to shadows. So when you see that the dwarves were not necessarily subject to the ring, that's to what they were referring. And for those of you that want to know, this is, if you get the book The Silmarillion, this is within the book of that title and of the rings and of the Third Age. So that's that. That's my thing. Yeah, it says, now the elves made many rings. Just keep that in mind. They did make many rings. And I think I might have incorrectly said that Sauron did not know about those last 3. I might have been incorrect there when I was talking about it on another stream. So if I'm wrong, always let me wrong. Please, in the comments, tell me what I got right. Tell me what I got wrong and what I may have left out. Now, I'm going to have to go ahead and go. I will be traveling, but I will be available. Like I said, I'm available on Twitter. I'm just not available, if that makes sense. You can always DM me or at me, and I will see it. Thank you, Shane Nolan. Thank you, Gorillas Random Thoughts, Hound 3000, Matt Wilkins. I said Shane Nolan, Soul Extraction, Conroy 1776, Adega Outlaw, and all of you that came in and out and will be watching on the replay. Thank you, Shane Nolan. He's saying safe travels, and you all stay safe over there in Ireland, because oh my gosh, I do see what's going on, and I pray for you all daily. Pray to St. Patrick, kids. Pray to St. Finbar. pray to all of them. On Our Lady of Knock. Yeah. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, and be certain to read the story that Tolkien wrote.